Thank you for your interest in joining the Department of Early Childhood's Early Learning for All ELFA network. In this video, we will walk you through the eligibility requirements to apply, how to set up your California ECE Workforce Registry account, how to submit an online application, and what to expect after you submit it. Before we jump into any details, you should know that the process to join the Early Learning for All network takes time and involves multiple steps and requirements. As a government funder, we have a responsibility to ensure that we use taxpayers' money to fulfill unmet needs across the city. We also take children's health, safety, and preparation for kindergarten very seriously. Our application and quality validation processes reflect these responsibilities. Just like with any other application for city funding, submission of an application does not guarantee that funding will be awarded. With that said, let's get into the details of the application process. The Early Learning for All application window will be open from April 30th to June 30th. There are 5 requirements programs must meet to be eligible to submit an application. In the next few slides, we are going to walk through each of those requirements. It is critical to ensure that your program meets all 5 eligibility requirements before applying. If you submit an application and your program does not meet one or more of the eligibility requirements, it will be rejected. So, what are the 5 eligibility requirements your programs must meet in order to apply to join the Early Learning for All network? First, you must be a licensed family childcare, FCC, or an early education center located in San Francisco that serves children ages 0 to 5. Second, your program must be in good standing with the California Community Care Licensing Division. This means that your license must be current and valid at the time of application. It cannot be pending or temporary. Third, your current enrollment must be at least 25% of your license capacity. For small FCCs, you must have at least 2 children enrolled, and for large FCCs, you must have at least 3 children enrolled. These first 3 requirements apply to both centers and FCC programs. The last 2 requirements, ratio and group size, and staff qualifications, will differ depending on your program type. On the next few slides, we will go over the details of these 2 requirements for centers and FCCs. The information you give should reflect your status at the time of application. If selected for validation, the DEC program officers will verify these eligibility requirements at the first site visit. As mentioned on the previous slide, the 4th eligibility requirement for joining the ELFA network is to meet our ratio and group sizing requirements. And there are different ratio and group sizing requirements for center-based programs and FCCs. This slide shows the ratio and group size requirements for center-based programs. Infant classroom must have a 1:4 ratio and a class size no larger than 8. Toddler classrooms must have a 1:6 ratio and class size no larger than 12. And preschool classrooms must have a 1:10 ratio with a class size no larger than 20. For state-funded Title V programs, also known as CCTR and CSPP, the group sizes and ratios are as follows. Infant is a 1:3 ratio with a group size of 9, toddler is a 1:4 ratio with a group size of 12, and preschool is a 1:8 ratio with a group size of 24. If your program is an FCC, your ratio and group sizing will need to follow the California Community Care Licensing Guidelines. Please note, age definitions for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers are slightly different for FCCs than they are for centers. For children ages 0 to 18 months, you must have a 1:4 ratio. For children 18 to 36 months, a 1:6 ratio, and for children 3 to 5 years old, a 1:10 ratio. The 5th eligibility requirement to join the ELFA network is to meet our teaching qualifications. Similar to ratio requirements, teaching qualification requirements vary depending on if your program is a center or an FCC. For center-based programs, there are qualification requirements for all center lead teachers and for the center director. Center lead teachers must have at least 24 units in early childhood education or child development, plus 16 units of general education. An alternative to meet this requirement is by holding an active California Commission on Teacher Credentialing (CACTC) teacher permit. The center director must have at least an associate's degree with 24 units in early childhood education, plus 6 units in management or administration, and 2 units in supervision. Another way to meet this requirement is by holding an active CACTC site supervisor permit. This year, in the fiscal year 26-27, all academic units must come from a California Teacher Credentialing approved institution. We have provided a guide on how to check if your institution is a CTC approved institution on our website where you access this video from. The links are under Step 2 of the How to Gather Your Transcript page on the website. Now let's talk about the staff qualification for FCC. To meet the requirements, educators must complete 12 units in early childhood education. This includes 9 core units covering the following essential courses: Child Growth and Development, Introduction to Early Childhood Curriculum, and Child, Family, and Community. In addition, educators need 3 elective units in early childhood education, which will help support their role in providing instruction and supervision to children. Starting this year, fiscal year 26-27, all academic units must come from a California Teacher Credentialing approved institution. We have a guide on how to check if your institution is a CTC approved institution, which you can find on the same webpage that you accessed this video from, under Step 2 of the How to Apply section. So if your program meets all 5 eligibility requirements, your next step is to set up a California ECE Workforce Registry account and upload documentations verifying your program meets the minimum teaching qualification. The California ECE Workforce Registry is a statewide database designed to track and promote the education, training, and experience of the early care and education workforce. In San Francisco, we also use it to verify education and employment for the workforce compensation programs that educators working in Alpha sites can benefit from. The Workforce Registry account ID number for the FCC owner or center director will be a required question in the online application, so you will not be able to complete your online application if you skip this step. You will also be required to upload transcripts and/or permits verifying you and your staff meet the teaching qualifications described in the eligibility requirements. So how do you set up your Workforce Registry account and get your documents uploaded? After you finish watching this video, go back to the Join Early Learning for All webpage on our provider portal and scroll down. There you can find detailed video tutorials and how-to guides for creating your registry account, finding your registry ID, requesting administrative access, and uploading transcripts and permits in English, Spanish, and Chinese. Once you have determined that your program meets all 5 of the eligibility requirements, completed creating a Workforce Registry account, uploaded relevant transcripts and/or permits, then it is time to submit your official online application. Go back to the Join Early Learning for All webpage on our provider portal and scroll down to the Online Application button. Once you click the Application button on your Join Alpha webpage, you will be directed to the online application form. Here are a few important tips for completing your application. 1. It is critical that you complete every question in the application. Make sure to read all questions and instructions carefully and be sure to double-check all answers for accuracy and completeness before submitting. Number 2, you will need to upload relevant staff transcripts and/or permit documentation, so make sure you have digital versions of these documents ready. You should have already collected and digitized these documents as you were getting your Workforce Registry account set up, so you should hopefully already have everything you need on your computer. Number 3, we recommend you complete the application in one sitting, as there is no way to save your application while it is still in progress. That is why it is so important to make sure you have all your documents and information ready to go so that you can complete the entire application at once. If you have any questions about any steps in the application process, you can always reach out to us at joinalpha@sfgov.org. Staff are available to respond in English, Spanish, and Chinese. Now that you've clicked submit on your application, what's next? As we receive applications from April 30th through June, here is what applicants can expect. Those who meet the eligibility requirements will be receiving a confirmation message stating that their application has been received. If any eligibility requirements are not met or the application is incomplete, we will send a follow-up email letting the applicant know what they are missing. Applicants will then have until June 30th to send any additional documents. Please note that we will not be accepting any application or supporting documents after the June 30th deadline. The final step in the process have to do with reviewing and ranking applications according to our prioritization categories. On the next slide, we will go over each of these categories, why we are using them, and how they will inform your application ranking. These are the prioritization categories as determined by the CPAC Needs Assessment and DEC data. Infant and toddler care. We know license capacity in San Francisco meets 100% of the need for preschool spaces, but only 16.5% of the need for infant and toddler spaces. Therefore, it is critical we prioritize programs currently serving infants and toddlers for city funding to increase access and affordability for the age group where unmet need is highest. Programs serving infants and toddlers will receive 5 points towards their total score, as DEC has determined this to be the biggest unmet need. CalWORKs, programs outside of the Early Learning for All network who are currently serving families with CalWORKs vouchers receive a lower reimbursement rate per child from the state than they would if they were in the network. To create an equitable system, it is important that these programs, which are already serving low-income DEC target population families, can benefit from the Early Learning for All reimbursement rate, compensation, and quality supports. Therefore, programs serving families with CalWORKs vouchers will receive 1 point towards their score. Experience serving all San Francisco families and have expertise serving historically marginalized, isolated, and underserved populations and children with a higher prevalence of not being kindergarten ready. DEC's strategic plan focuses on increasing cultural responsiveness across all early childhood programs and services. We focus specifically on meeting the needs of those populations that face the largest barriers in access to culturally responsive resources and entering kindergarten prepared to succeed. Programs with this expertise will receive 1 point towards their total score. IFSPs and IEPs. Children with special needs also face some of the biggest barriers in access to responsive resource and inclusive programming. Programs with experience serving children with identified special needs will be prioritized and will receive 1 point towards their total score. The highest score a program could get is 8. What if there are multiple programs with the same score? We will then institute the tiebreaker. Programs with the highest number of children enrolled will be ranked above programs with the same score serving fewer children. In the next few slides, we will look at some scoring scenarios. Our first scenario features 2 programs. Program A serves infants and toddlers and children with IFSPs. They are fully enrolled. Program B serves only preschoolers and has 18 children enrolled out of the 20 spaces. Program A scores a 6, having met the Serving Infants and Toddler and Serving Children with Identified Special Needs priorities. Program B scores 0 because they do not meet any of the priority categories. Program A ranks higher than Program B. No tiebreaker is needed. For our second scenario, we have two different programs. Both have earned 6 points for priority categories, so we will use the tiebreaker to determine which ranks higher. Program C has 14 children enrolled, while for Program D has 48 children enrolled. Therefore, Program D will be ranked higher than Program C. Now that you know a little bit more about the prioritization categories and scoring, let's take a look at the next steps in the process. In July, the DEC team will review all completed applications we received during the open application period. Each application will receive an application ID number. All applications will be ranked based on the prioritization categories and scoring systems we just described. The ranked list will then be published on our website. Starting in August, applicants will be contacted in the order of the ranked list to attend an orientation meeting describing the next steps in the process, which we call the validation process. The validation process involves a series of site visits and evaluations to assess whether programs meet the Early Learning for All core quality standards. It is critical you understand that inclusion on the ranked list does not guarantee that you will be invited to participate in the validation process this round. DEC will proceed down the ranked list only as far as staff capacity allows. Lower ranked programs may not hear from us, and any programs not invited to an orientation by February 2027 will be asked to apply again in the fiscal year 2027 to 2028 application round. If you are invited to participate in validation, the orientation meeting will describe that process and all further requirements to joining the Early Learning for All network in a lot more detail. But for now, it is important to be aware that making it to the validation process does not guarantee acceptance into the Early Learning for All network. Programs must fully engage with and meet all validation process requirements. DEC and its program officers have the right to discontinue a program's participation in the validation process at their discretion. We know there are a lot of steps and requirements in this process, and we truly appreciate you taking the time to learn more about what is involved. Please do not hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions. Thank you.